Hey, at the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you how I made this dashboard, and the first part of it is just going to be showing you what I had to work with and a fast forward of the multiple hours I put into creating this and grabbing all the data, conditioning it, bringing it in and visualizing it. So if you want to just see the end explanation, you can just hop right there to see kind of a little bit more about what this is. If you want to see it, the entirety of the video, it's not that long, so thanks for being here either way. In this video project, I'm going to be reinventing and reimagining some of the most boring data possible. Brace yourself. Kentucky's political data. So all of their House and Senate representatives, all the stats about each county, where all their congressional districts are, all of the data pertaining to state and local politics. So I'm going to be going to .gov sources and getting all the data that I can. What they have currently is not that sophisticated, not that great. There's a lot of PDFs. There's even some historical data that show things like all of the diversity data for like all of the representatives historically, like going back to like 1900. So you can see like how many like African American, Asian, and like female reps they had, which is kind of an interesting stat when you look at Kentucky. Just to see like who was what, who was Democrat, who was Republican, how long people have been in. That's probably the biggest one, because some districts, they have people who have been a representative since like 1985 in their county, like nothing has changed, right? So there's a lot of really interesting stuff to unpack here. So I'm going to be getting all this data. I'm going to probably voice over and just sort of commentate on what I'm doing, because I'm going to try to screen capture this, but it's not going to be all of it's going to be it's not gonna be a how-to series. It's just gonna be kind of a project lapse, and at the end I'll show what I made and I'll show you what the effect of that is. So just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that I'm working with, I have a PDF that looks like this, just table data. This is some of the historical data of all of the different counties and all the different parties that they have. I have some stuff like this. I just have a PDF that just shows generally, hey, here's this guy, here's his bio, here's he's a Senate Democrat since 1993, right? I have one thing that's actually pretty decent. This is an Esri driven web application where you can go through and you can click on a district and you can see the legislator and you can see in more info about them. So this is probably one of the best things that I've seen that's actually been brought out of Kentucky in terms of technology or data or public data utilization. But I'm going to try to actually even one-up this. I'm going to try to make something even better than this, and I'm going to use all the tools at my disposal. I'm going to get a hold of as much data as I can, and I'm just going to try to make something cool with it. So I got into the data. My first move was to grab all of the representative data and just make a separate sheet that had the Senate members and then the House members and just all their associated data. And what I'm doing right here is I'm just doing a little bit of data mining from Wikipedia. So I just used this Chrome extension to just scrape all the data out of this table and essentially just get some basic facts about the county itself. This ultimately didn't exactly end up being what I used, but I just wanted to grab a couple different related data sets, and then I could, maybe all tie them together by joining them based off of the county. I got the shapefile here for all of the Senate districts, and that ultimately didn't end up being the polygon that I used. I ultimately went with a polygon of all of the counties because I felt like it was more useful to residents to see the specific county. That's what I would have wanted, just to click on my county and then I can see my rep and then I can see all the associated data with my county. Now, initially I had mentioned getting all the historical data. Now, I didn't actually pursue that in this part of the project. I just went with all of the here and now data, sort of what your county looks like today or as of 2019. One thing about Kentucky's data sets is I couldn't find a really good set of time series data of like year after year. I could just sort of find up to 2019, and in some cases, some pieces of data would be relevant to later than that. So mostly it was up to 2019, but some of them were like 2010. So right here, the way that the data was set up from the Census Bureau, I had to go through and query each set of counties by 5 and then pull all their data in. The United States Census Bureau site would not let me get all of the data for all Kentucky counties all at once. That's one oversight, I think, on their part. I don't know why they wouldn't let me just get the state of Kentucky and get all of their counties. I don't manage their data. And they did have a lot of data available, but ultimately I had to go in and grab a CSV of 5 at a time and then clean it out. It also was in a format that I had to transpose. So I had to switch the rows and the columns because of how they had everything set up. So a little bit of conditioning right there, and ultimately it would have been nice to go with a script, but that's okay. I also didn't like how they put, instead of just 0 values, they put in like D's and X's and all this different stuff, so I had to clean that out. And I went through in Excel just to make sure everything was looking good. Cleaned out a bunch of values, just made sure they were all conditioned properly. All the percents were where they needed to be, and all of the larger numbers were where they needed to be as well. So then I took all that data, ultimately put it inside of Esri's tool suite. So I made some layers and some tables, and I published those to Arc Portal. And here what you can see me doing is working through building an ArcGIS dashboard. And what I try to do is have it so that each representative would filter the set of counties that they had in their district. But sadly, what I found out is the way that I was relating the data together, that I couldn't really make this work, which is ultimately why it made more sense, both technically and for the user, that you could click on your county in a list and not just your rep in a list, and that would then lead you to all the data that you wanted to know. Because some counties have multiple reps, but not all counties have multiple reps, and some counties are in multiple districts. So the relation between all of those was pretty intense. So what I did was I made a reference. I took the rep and I put them in line with each county's set of data over and over again. So that was more profitable. So I worked on a lot of the statistics that I had available to me, mostly involving cost of living and income. Those are the big ones. So I put in like how long it took on average for people to travel to work, how much it cost on average for a house in their county. I thought those were good stats, because those are the things that people ultimately care about, that they want to be enhanced in their lives. I also tried to do some unemployment stats as well, so we could see like the total population versus the people who were employed. So I'm going to show you what was available before I took all this data and manipulated it and made a new visualization of what Kentucky's counties and all of their related data in relation to all of their Senate members would look like. So this is an example of some of the stuff that Kentucky has. They have some more modern stuff than that, but a lot of it is, this is just a JPEG, and it's a slightly outdated map, just just a drawing. It doesn't have any associated data like in relation to the performance of how these reps are doing in Frankfort when they actually go out there and represent Kentuckians. There's some data that you can get from the .gov sources, just another example of some maps, right? And then right here on Team Kentucky, they have something a little bit more modern. So right here I have a GIS, just a mapping interface where I can go in here and I can say, If I wanted to pick, Bardstown, right, just some place in Kentucky, and this is just the city, mind you, then I could go in here and I could click and I could see like the total employees in Bardstown itself, and I can sort of filter that, and I can see where they have like the most employees that live in an area. And so this is pretty decent, but this doesn't relate to any of the political figures, which is what I kind of wanted to highlight. Is, hey, what are these, what are your local politicians doing for you, or like how is your county faring under that leadership, right? So they have some stats like this, so you can go and you can see like just general charts and stats in, like, this is just pulling from the raw data, some of the stuff that I took from the U.S. Census Bureau. So you can get like all of the data that I got was from here. But what you have to do is you have to go in here and like type in a county and then select a stat. So let's type in like a county and it should pull it up. And then it'll give you a little visualization where you can see, I have Allen County right here, and you can see this all just in a table, but you can't really get more than that. So, and here we have a little bit more going on. This is branching out into the entire U.S. So there is some stuff that's available, but I didn't really think it fit the full intent of what it really could be, or its potential. So I made this. So this right here on the side just has the Kentucky counties and their associated Senate members. So you have like Ballard County, their Senate member is Danny Carroll. And so if I click on that, it'll filter all of the this entire dashboard here to all of the related information. So some of the related information, I took some of the just sort of important things and just sort of highlighted them, or things that I thought were important. So home values, homeowner cost, average travel time to work, those are things that impact just everybody who's working. Also interesting to see how many people were employed versus the total population. This is a good indicator of your economic growth, and also how many people are on, welfare, disability, etc. How many people are being, rehabilitated if they have a disability that can be rehabilitated, or that are just unemployed drawing benefits because there's no, method of getting out. And some of these rural counties, that is a huge problem, right? So you can kind of see who has brought what to their counties in that regard. So you can see the percent of the population in the civilian workforce. So you can see just at a scope, like Boone County, for whatever reason, has the highest percentage. So if I look there, I can see also like their per capita income. So the average per capita income is $36K, and the 70% employed. You see all the total businesses. So there's a lot of businesses there. Being as this is up by Cincinnati, right? So it's near a more populous area, so it makes a lot of sense that these figures look pretty good. And we have like lots of veteran-owned firms, minority-owned firms, women-owned firms. The monthly homeowner costs are a little bit higher, but you can see, everything else pretty much balanced out. Median home value a little bit higher than the average. If I just deselect it, I can just see Kentucky as a whole because I don't have anything selected. And I can sort of see, like, if I'm somebody who lives in Bullitt County and I'm making $29K, maybe I want to move to Oldham County and be in a place where maybe I make a little bit more. And in potential, right? This is just per capita, right? But some of these indicators can show certain things that people are interested in, and it does also, I think, give a good indication of how these reps are working for their counties. And you can go in here to the details tab, and you can actually see everything. So you can see like all of this other details here. So like all these diversity demographics, how many housing units there are, how many building permits have been issued, all this different data. And that's all
related to, like if I select Wayne County, then I'll just see all of Wayne County stuff, and I can see more details there about my county in relation to the local politicians that actually represent that area. So this is what I made, and I am pretty happy with it. I'm super stoked that I was able to take something this boring and reinvent it to be at this level. So this is pretty great. I wish that Kentucky government hit me up, let me know, and we can get it popping. I can show you how to put all this together and more. Would love to, because I think this is a really useful thing to show off to people. So anyhow, if you watched the video thus far, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.